One strange fact in the Naruto series is that Rock Lee, a guy who has no talent for genjutsu or ninjutsu and can't do them at all, was able to become a ninja graduating from the Ninja Academy. This may not seem so weird at first glance, but then when you think about it, Naruto himself failed 3 times in the Academy exams because he had subpar ninjutsu, and well, he couldn't become a ninja because of that. His transformation jutsu was terrible, he could only use the sexy jutsu properly, and his clone jutsu was even worse. Naruto himself says several times during the series that the clone jutsu was his worst jutsu, and he was only able to graduate because he mastered the multi-shadow clone jutsu, a hidden jutsu which, once you master it, you essentially become a ninja by default because it's so powerful. But if not for that, Naruto would have failed for the 4th time in a row. So how come Rock Lee, a guy we know for certain doesn't have any ninjutsu or genjutsu capabilities past the Academy graduation exams? And I know a lot of people are gonna say, well, because the story had to happen, and Rock Lee being a talentless ninja with no ninjutsu or genjutsu abilities fighting against Gaara, this guy that only had ninjutsu and had absolute innate talent, was great for the story. The contrast between the two characters, what they meant for the narrative, both characters with very different curses in life, and how the clash between the talentless brat versus the cursed but gifted little boy made the story rich and great, is the reason why Kishimoto chose to make Rock Lee pass the Chunin exams without ninjutsu or genjutsu. And yes, obviously, for the story Kishimoto wanted to tell, Rock Lee had to be a ninja in the Chunin exams, who passed the graduation test by default, because obviously he passed it, if he was a genin and was in Team Guy. But that answer is honestly not very interesting, because it's a really obvious one. So what I want to do in this video is to try and decipher how Rock Lee passed in universe. The first argument people may use is that Lee may not have been very good at ninjutsu or genjutsu, but because his taijutsu abilities were so extremely good, the Academy saw fit that, well, he should become a ninja because his taijutsu will make up the difference for the lack of the other abilities. But that's just not the case. If you remember correctly, and during the flashbacks of the Gaara fight, we see that Rock Lee was pretty damn bad at taijutsu as well back in the day. When he became a member of Team Guy, he couldn't really do taijutsu very well. I mean, he was training a lot, and Guy was watching him from afar, training, beating that trunk, jumping rope, trying to improve his taijutsu, but he was absolutely inept. When he tried to fight against Neji, trying to spar against him, Neji was just stomping him completely, not having any difficulty whatsoever beating him. And Guy himself says, I mean, Rock Lee's taijutsu wasn't really great, man, when he's talking to Sakura and Kakashi during the Gaara fight there, because Sakura's like really impressed with Rock Lee's taijutsu, and oh, he doesn't know genjutsu and ninjutsu, that's crazy. And then Guy's like, yeah, and his taijutsu used to be awful too. You have no idea how hard he worked to reach this level. So no, the Academy didn't see Rock Lee as a taijutsu prodigy and made him pass. If anything, if you go by that logic, they shouldn't have made him pass because he wasn't good at anything at all. I guess you could say that his test results in the written exams and stuff were not terrible because Rock Lee is very strategic. People don't realize that, but he is intelligent. I mean, he's not Shikamaru level or anything, but he's not dumb at all. But that by itself wouldn't have made him a proper candidate to become a ninja, because if he just has, you know, above average written exam results, but has terrible taijutsu and inexistent ninjutsu and genjutsu, the Academy shouldn't have made him a shinobi. I mean, the Leaf Village wasn't at war. They weren't necessarily in dire need of soldiers to fight, because yeah, that could have been an excuse. For example, during Kakashi's time in the Academy, people were graduating way earlier than in Naruto's time. I mean, Kakashi became a genin at 5 years old, which is absolutely insane. But even people like Guy, who were not very talented, became a ninja at 9, which is 3 years younger than Naruto, Sasuke, and the gang. And it's because the Third Great War was happening at the time. The Leaf Village needed more ninjas. They needed to create a bigger army, so they were just making people graduate much earlier and also sending kids to the war like we see in the Kakashi flashback. But during Rock Lee's time, this is no longer the case. I mean, obviously the Leaf Village wants to keep on making ninjas, making sure their numbers are good and healthy so that they have a good standing army and a decent amount of ninjas to go and do missions so that the Leaf Village can earn money. But someone like Rock Lee is was very clearly a liability. Well, at least the way he came out of the academy, and Guy even mentions that Rock Lee was doing really terribly in their first missions. When Rock Lee was training there, then he fell off and started to cry in the flashback, and then Guy came up and said, oh, you're screwing up, but you know, you can do it. So how come he became a ninja? Well, we do get some clues here and there with Guy. First, we see a flashback of how Guy and Kakashi entered the academy. That happens way later in the series during the Guy versus Madara fight, but we do see how that happens. Kakashi's with his dad and they're looking at the list of the people who entered the academy. Kakashi obviously gets in because he's an absolute prodigy, but Guy doesn't. However, Guy and his dad might die are not really bummed out by it. Guy's like, oh, thank you for the support. I'll do it better next time. And then Guy introduces himself to Kakashi, but Kakashi kind of scoffs at him because he thinks Guy's stupid. But then Kakashi's dad tells him, you shouldn't underestimate this boy. He is training really hard and the academy is not dumb. So he prompts Kakashi to introduce himself back to Guy because, yeah, this guy's gonna be a threat in the future. Not a threat exactly for Kakashi, but he is gonna be a worthy rival. What's interesting is that Sakumo Hatake, the White Fang, this legendary shinobi that's renowned and even thought to be greater than the 3 legendary Sannin, thought that Guy would be a powerful ninja in the future because he saw how hard he trained. And because of that, Sakumo himself was pretty sure the academy would accept Guy eventually because, yeah, they wouldn't see somebody doing all those things, training how Guy was training, and not at least give him a chance. And this is probably what happened. The academy eventually accepted Guy, and Guy eventually graduated as a taijutsu only guy with no ninjutsu or genjutsu. I mean, I guess you could say Guy is more talented than Rock Lee at ninjutsu because he can at least summon a turtle, which is ninjutsu, but Rock Lee can't do that at all. But even still, I don't think Guy learned that when he was in the academy. He probably didn't have any ninjutsu whatsoever when he was taking the graduation exams, just like Rock Lee. But at least during Guy's time, there was the entire 3rd Great Ninja War where the Leaf Village was searching for ninjas desperately. So yeah, just graduate him, it's fine. It still doesn't answer why Rock Lee was made a shinobi. But there's another important scene, which is a flashback of Guy and Kakashi overlooking the academy students, and Rock Lee was with them. They were doing those laps around the academy's yards, and obviously Rock Lee wasn't doing so great because he was physically very weak. And Rock Lee caught Guy's eye because Guy saw himself in him. Kakashi even says, oh, that one, he really reminds me of somebody else, especially the eyebrows, because yeah, Rock Lee's eyebrows and Guy's eyebrows have always been really thick, even though Rock Lee adopts my Guy's hairstyle after they become sensei and pupil, but the eyebrows have always been there, man. So yeah, Rock Lee really reminds Guy of himself, a guy with no talent, but that worked extremely hard because he wanted to prove that he could be a good shinobi. And when Guy first sees Rock Lee, he was probably 8, 9, he was definitely not as old as he was when he joined Team Guy, so he was way before the graduation exam for Rock Lee. Now, usually the Hokage chooses the teams that the Genins are going to be in, the sensei for the Genins and all that. Hiruzen just tells Kakashi, yeah, you're gonna be the teacher of the Nine Tails guy and the Uchiha guy, so they're very important ninjas. I am giving you this mission, and because you're such a powerful and renowned ninja, you're gonna be the one protecting these 2 very important Genins of our village. And Kakashi didn't really have any say on the matter. I mean, this is a mission the Hokage is giving to him, so you're gonna teach those guys, okay? And we have to assume the same thing happens to the other teams. Also, the Genins themselves are distributed in a way that's gonna make them balanced, so they usually put the best student in the class with the worst student in the class in the same team, at least the ones that passed. So, for example, Sasuke, the top of his class, is gonna be with Naruto, the bottom of his class, and the same thing happens with Neji and Rock Lee. However, likely happened is that Guy kept tabs on Rock Lee after he met him for the first time. I mean, they didn't really meet, but Guy saw him, so that's enough for Guy to stay on watch and track Lee's progress. After all, he saw Lee for the first time way before Lee graduated in the academy, and when the time came for Rock Lee to take the exams in the academy, Guy probably asked the 3rd Hokage to pass Lee and put Lee on Guy's team, because Guy saw himself in Rock Lee and he believed he could shape Rock Lee into a shinobi that Guy himself became, an extremely powerful taijutsu specialist that became famous around the world. Obviously, Hiruzen isn't dumb. He knows how powerful Might Guy is. He knows Guy is one of the strongest ninjas in the village. Arguably the strongest ninja in the village after the Hokage himself in Naruto Part 1. I mean, there's Kakashi too, who's a very close rival, so there's a debate there, but in terms of sheer strength, Kakashi is the only one rivaling Guy in the Jonin ranks, and then there's Hiruzen himself, but that's it. Like, there's nobody else stronger than Guy. So if Guy made Hiruzen that request, he would obviously listen to Guy at least to hear what he had to say, because if Hiruzen thought Guy could shape another ninja to become a second Might Guy, someone really strong, even though they don't have genjutsu or ninjutsu, this would be extremely advantageous for the Leaf Village. Now yeah, maybe Hiruzen would think Guy is a little bit biased because Rock Lee is pretty much himself, so obviously Guy would grow attached to this boy who's terrible at ninjutsu and genjutsu, but if there's a chance, why not try it at least? He knew Guy could protect Rock Lee if things go wrong in a mission, for example, and if this keeps Guy motivated to become an even better ninja and an even better teacher, this is gonna be great, even if Rock Lee doesn't pan out. And if Rock Lee pans out, that's even better. Also, a reason why Naruto never really passed or couldn't make it through the exams was because Naruto lacked discipline. He didn't have the mentality of a shinobi. He couldn't do the jutsus very well, as we mentioned before, but also he didn't think like a ninja. He didn't have discipline. He wasn't a very well put together guy, which is the exact opposite to Rock Lee, who's discipline incarnate. And we can really compare how Rock Lee and Naruto were before they graduated, because Naruto, yes, he had a lot of guts and courage, but he used to put that in the wrong places, such as defacing the Hokage faces on the village, pulling pranks on people in the village, trying to flee from the classroom. He was doing everything wrong, essentially. He didn't study, he didn't train. The only thing he trained for was his sexy jutsu, because sexy ladies are hot, aren't they? And then the first time Naruto actually applied himself to do something worthwhile, he learned the multi-shadow clone jutsu, something that only Jonins learn in the verse. So obviously Naruto had this latent talent that he didn't put to good use before he became a ninja. Rock Lee, on the other hand, he had no innate talent whatsoever, but he was very dedicated from the get-go, and he wanted to become a strong shinobi, and he was taking the right steps towards that even before his graduation. So even though the academy teachers were well aware of Rock Lee's faults, that he couldn't perform a jutsu whatsoever, they knew he had dedication, guts, discipline, and those are very shinobi-like traits. And yes, maybe those things alone aren't enough to make you pass the graduation exams, but if Guy requested to train Rock Lee directly to Hiruzen as the third Hokage and the supreme power in the Leaf Village, he should be able to tell the academy, yeah, I know this guy here, he lacks talent, he's not really performing well in ninjutsu, genjutsu, or anything else really, however, I want you to pass him because I see potential in him. Now, maybe Hiruzen himself didn't see that potential, but Guy saw him, told Hiruzen, and then Hiruzen was like, okay, I trust Guy, he's an extremely powerful ninja that's done hundreds and hundreds of missions for the Leaf Village, and if Guy vouches for Rock Lee and believes he can shape Rock Lee into a good shinobi, I will believe in Guy, and I will give him this vote of confidence. So Hiruzen would go to the academy teachers and tell him to pass Rock Lee regardless. And it's not as though there's no precedent for that. After all, we see Guy, he became a shinobi in the past, and it's also probably because he was very disciplined and he knew he wanted to become stronger. He put his efforts in the right places, he applied himself a lot, and before Guy, Might Dai, his dad, also became a ninja. And Might Dai had even less talent than Guy because Might Dai was a genin at 35 years old. Guy became a jonin kinda young in life. So obviously Guy was much more talented in taijutsu because that's what they really had, and even still Might Dai, he became a ninja that graduated from the academy. Now perhaps the reason why Might Dai became a ninja was because of the wars that were going on. If you do the math right, he probably became a shinobi during the first or second Great Ninja Wars. It's kinda iffy because we don't know the exact numbers, how those wars lasted, how long ago they were, but it's likely that he became a shinobi during one of them, and therefore, well, the Leaf Village wasn't being very picky, but still, Might Dai and Might Guy opened precedents for Rock Lee to be chosen as well, even though he wasn't very talented. And if you couple that with Might Guy asking Hiruzen to give him a vote of confidence and let him train Rock Lee, then yeah, the academy passes Rock Lee, he becomes a shinobi, and he joins Team Guy. And honestly, that was a good job from the academy and whoever made Rock Lee pass, because he became a prolific ninja. Yes, unfortunately, Kishimoto kind of forgets Rock Lee exists in Naruto Shippuden, but he did some pretty great stuff. Even in Naruto Shippuden itself, he kicked Madara in half, and he was like the only person who was able to do that before Guy, and the fight against Madara with the 8 gates. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already, and like the video, please. It takes 2 seconds to do those things, and it helps me out a lot. Also, watch this other cool Naruto video right here, and thank you so much for watching.